Hi, my name is Dave. I'm the head brewer at Oskar Blues Brewery here in Longmont, Colorado. And we're going to take you on a tour of our production facility here and show you how we make beer. It all starts with malted barley, which we run through a mill to crack it open, and eventually we're going to get sugar from that grain. So we take whole barley in my left hand, run it through a mill to crack it open to make a grist, which is in my right hand here. And that's what allows us to get access to the starch of the grain and turn it into sugar eventually. So the next step in the process after milling is mashing in. And that's where we take that milled grain, mix it with hot water in a vessel called a mash tun. It's kind of like making tea or coffee. And we'll mix it with hot water in a certain temperature range, somewhere in the upper 160s to 170 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's a really important aspect of it because the enzymes that are present on the grain that will convert the starch into sugar, which is what we want, are active in a certain temperature range. So we always pay strict attention to our temperatures because it has a direct effect on the finished quality of the beer. When we mix that hot water with the grain and it converts the starch into sugar, we now have a liquid called wort, spelled W-O-R-T, and it's sugar water. And that's what we really want because that's what the yeast are going to consume to make the beer for us. So we'll then collect that liquid into the kettle, and that's where we start the next process. It takes about an hour and a half to collect all the wort into the kettle. After that's collected, we start boiling it. And we're going to boil for an hour and a half as well. During that time, we're going to add hops 3 times during the boil to give it bitterness, flavor, and aroma. And it depends on when you add them in that boil as to what you get of those characteristics. And it'll balance out that sweetness of the malt and make this a more drinkable product. So after the boil's done, we transfer the wort into a whirlpool to separate out the solids, and then we're ready to transfer that wort out to a fermentation tank. During that transfer time, we cool the wort with a wort chiller and add yeast in line, run that through a hose and out to one of our 6,000 gallon fermentation tanks that we have here. So the basic thing with fermentation is the yeast are going to consume sugar and make alcohol and carbon dioxide. We have these tanks here are all temperature controlled so that we can provide the best environment for our yeast. We ferment our ales at about 68 degrees Fahrenheit, and we ferment our lagers at about 52 degrees Fahrenheit. We use 2 different kinds of yeast for those fermentations, and that's where they are optimal to make the best beer possible for us. After fermentation's over, we cold condition the beer, filter it, collect it into a bright beer tank, carbonate it, and then send it out to our can line, which you see operating here right now. We do about 400 barrels a day of packaging into cans, which equates to about 132,000 cans, 12-ounce cans a day. So there you have it. That's everything from grain to can here at Oskar Blues Brewery.